Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Super excited for you to join me on this riveting and exciting live trading. So, this is going to be fun, guys. My first ever LinkedIn Live. Hope you're enjoying it, planning to do a lot more of these. But I thought this would be a really great first session, super introductory. So, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So, if you have paper, pen, if anyone's doing that, or just taking your notes or follow along, we are going to run through how to build your March calendar in a smart way, in a strategic way, and in a formula that you can rinse and repeat. So that way, next month, next quarter, the rest of the year, if you're crazy enough, you can start planning ahead. So first things first, I want to jump into is more of the preparation. And first, actually kind of talking about who the heck I am. So, hey, I'm Peyton. If you haven't followed me before, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about all things email marketing, strategy, all that fun stuff. I run a email SMS retention agency called Sparkbridge Digital, delivered over 20 million in trackable email revenue. I'm an email nerd to the core. Email is what I love. An educator, consultant for brands, and just obsessed with all things retention marketing. So the plan for today, we're going to try and knock out a content calendar for March for your email marketing. And I'm hoping that you'll walk away with ideas on your email marketing that maybe you actually haven't thought about before. Hopefully it kind of creates this new pillar system for planning those sends, segmentation ideas, ways that you could send more volume, but strategically. I think that across the board, what I've heard is click-through rates are just down in the dumps. How can we get those better? This is going to tap into that. And also a system you can rinse and repeat for next month. And I do have a little freebie at the end. So if you stick around, you get a fun little thing from me that you could take and use. Okay. So the context. So before you start saying, okay, next week, let's send this, this, and this, we need to kind of do a little bit of some reflection on our brand. So I want us to get kind of psychological. So understanding your customer is a big part of making sure your email content calendar is even going to be effective. So kind of tap in, be a little bit critical of your brand, and think about why somebody wouldn't purchase from you. So I have this just welcome email here as an example. Nothing against Ritual, but why would someone not purchase from Ritual? Maybe they're scared about taking a supplement. They've taken supplements before. They don't understand supplements. They don't understand the product offerings. They don't understand the ingredients. Is it tested? Potential customers have 1,000 thoughts going through their head when deciding whether or not to buy from you. And the reason I say to tap into this is because this is kind of like the juicy details that are actually going to make sure your emails that you plan for are effective. So why wouldn't they purchase? What are the goals? Is there an end product in mind? What does that look like? What are their fears? I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but digging in, putting yourself into current customer, potential customer shoes makes your email marketing just hit better. So a little aside there, but really important to understand. So just as an example, let's say you're a makeup concealer brand and you only have one SKU, but it's in a variety of shades. We could maybe say, our customer that we're planning content around could be a young adult with thousands of concealer brands to choose from, struggles with shade matching, hates concealers that crease, wants a good deal, overwhelmed by choice, and she needs to see it on a model in her shade. So the reason, it's kind of like an exercise, but this is like the person you're talking to in your email content. So it's super important. For a coffee brand, maybe that customer is someone who cares about quality. The story, where is the coffee coming from? They might be a bit of a coffee snob, an armchair expert in the subject, and they want to know the exact journey, farm to coffee pot, of what they're buying. So tapping into maybe a different type of customer there with this type of brand. But the one we're going to focus on for an example today is actually going to be more of a dog food brand. So let's say it's a monthly subscription to an organic dog food. And maybe we say this customer might care about quality immensely, right? Their dog is the center of their world. They have specific health needs for their dog that they want to cater to. Their dog might be picky. They want to make sure that they can cancel easily for this subscription. And they just want to understand the ingredients. Give it to me straight. What am I feeding my dog? Because they are my world, right? So just a fun exercise, because now we're going to build a content calendar for this kind of customer. There's so many that you might have coming to your website, but pick one, pick two. Just think of them when you're planning. So for our dog food brand, when you're thinking of the calendar, right? and you're like, okay, how many times can I say buy my product? It gets old, right? It gets super old. So a fun exercise that I like to do, and this honestly, you could apply to any brand, is thinking about other ways to serve up marketing for your product. So one I have here is objection blockers, which means those fears we were talking about, what they're scared about, what they think might happen. Their dog might get sick if they try a new dog food brand, or it's too expensive. How can we bust down those objections? Us versus them is a type of content email where we're literally saying, like, here's where we're better than all the competitors. Here's what sets us apart. Going back to that concealer brand, why there's a million concealers to choose from. Why should I pick yours? Ingredient deep dives, behind the scenes, customer stories, dog stories, before and after. If you have a particular dog food that is helping your dog get on a healthy weight, or, to help with joint health, before and afters. Helpful dog content, even looking outside of something that will directly connect to your product, could just be getting helpful content in front of them. Things that are adjacent that they'd be interested in. And then, of course, I have in here like 2 subcategories, but still really great emails to get out. Loyalty, if you have a loyalty program. So like get points that you can redeem for rewards. Or of course, in the subscription focus, we have how are we going to push people on a subscription, right? So another route, and I'm sure this is like, you're like, okay, yeah, no duh. I go here every month, right? But just in case, I went ahead and checked. So for our dog food brand in March, what is a holiday that we can plan around? And we have Canine Veterans Day coming up. So, okay, interesting. So one caveat I like to say with picking a holiday to plug into your email planning is that everybody does it, okay? And I think just sending an email that says Happy Canine Veterans Day is really just kind of meh, right? But maybe there's a different way we could deliver this up. Do we have a customer story from a local canine unit in a community that submitted a review and says this is what the food that they feed their entire platoon? I know it's not a platoon of dogs, but a canine unit of dogs. But being able to kind of have a story around it, it ties into your product, but it's not just saying Happy Canine Veterans Day, we salute our canine veterans and buy our dog food. Like, that doesn't work, right? It just feels icky. So pull holidays into your scheduling, but make sure it actually is thoughtful. Okay. So, and also one thing I want to note with your content calendar is let the data speak. So first thing I love to do, export out last year's March calendar, since we're looking at March. Export out the last 90 days of campaign data. Did something get traction? A promotion you ran last year really knocked it out of the park? Or even more importantly, what has not been working? What fell flat? If there was an A/B test, so having that list, this is prepping us. And I promise we're getting into building the calendar, but this is prepping us for the best chances of having a successful campaign strategy. So look at past year's data, super important, but also last 90 days is a bit more focused. We know what we've been doing lately that works as well, and making sure that kind of ties in. So in summary, for our dog food brand, we have these jumping off points. We have some of these content pillars that I talked about, the us versus them, those types of sends, and we have some of our past send data that maybe is going to fuel our strategy. Who do we send to? So I think that's the number one question I get when talking to brands, consulting with them on their calendars and their sending strategy. I don't want to send too many emails, or I'm scared to send more emails. Like, I'm scared my unsubscribe rates are going to go through the roof. And it's totally true. You should be so careful with it. And we're going to in a really fun way here, because let's talk about audience groups. So if you really want to dumb down your send list, your send targeting, split it into 3 groups. You have non-customers. They haven't bought for a reason yet. So these emails better be curated to breaking down those objections. You have your customers, already customers, so what's next? And our active shopper group of both. People who are showing intent very recently. So we're talking last 90 days of browsing, abandoning, viewing product, or even tighter, 30 days, right? Of those groups. So, 3 main groups, you can almost call this like technically 4 when you kind of split out the active shoppers by customer and non-customer. But start here. And the reason I say this is because let's say we want to push Subscription education, we're going to put it the first week of March for our brand. Sending that email out to everybody, like a core engaged list, even like people who are, opening and clicking, but treating everybody the same is just not going to fly, right? So I just wanted to break this out here, help put this lens into some of your track or your planning. But let's do a subscription education first week of March. The thing we want to make sure we're targeting and understanding is we have customers who've lapsed. So they're not on a subscription, but they have bought one time, they haven't come back. So we can speak directly to them about not coming back. Like, oh my gosh, did you get puppy eyes last week because you ran out of their favorite dog food? Get on a schedule, get on a subscription, never have to run out again, customize it when your dog's feeling picky. Like we're talking to them because they are where they are in the journey. Then we have in the middle, never purchase, but they're active shoppers. Getting someone who's never purchased from you on a subscription is hard. It's not easy. So they still need convincing. So maybe this email is curated towards them on ingredient education, customer reviews. They need some convincing to move forward, right? It's harder to get them to move forward. So they just need a different delivery. And then subscription canceled. This group used to be on a subscription and we're trying to convince them to come back. Maybe we have cancellation reasons, like I canceled because I ordered too much. Okay, so if we send out a subscription education email that first week of March to our canceled group, let's make sure we segment everyone who canceled because of too much food. And we can let them know, hey, did you know you can customize anytime you want? You could pause, please, just pause your subscription. Don't cancel it, right? But come back in and get back into it. So when planning your calendar as well, we want to dig into, hey, we're going to send something. Who is it going to? Because that's important. And if you are struggling with click-through rates right now, this is how you unlock better click-through rates. Smaller segmented audiences with higher impact because we're talking right to them. So I just want to call that out. So just keep thinking through audiences. We don't have to go overboard, but I just want to put in a little example. And then, okay, so are we going to build a calendar or what? Yes, we are. Okay, so we're doing great on time. I just want to kind of like give all of that backstory so that way if you're following along, you're thinking through these things as well. Okay, so let's take a look in Notion. This is a great area to just kind of get things listed out. So this is what I love to do. I love to just see it all listed. We can figure out the dates and timing and how everything aligns. But let's make sure we're hitting on the things that we want to hit on this month. So let's see. We had our canine day, which was, of course, I didn't grab the date. So we're just going to pretend it's in the first week of March. Okay. So here in Notion, I'm just going to come in here and I have a kind of section here. This can be customized, which is great. But I am going to come in and make sure we have the Canine Veterans Day feature planned here. Now for our date, we're just going to pretend, okay? And say that this is going out next Saturday. For tags, this is where you could kind of customize things and make sure that you're really seeing it organized. In this particular one, I'm just going to call it holiday. It is somewhat of a nurture as well, so I'll tack that on. And then for our targeting, I think this is really important. I know I just said let's get hyper segmented, but for something like this, we'll keep it honed in on our core engaged group. All right, perfect. And then we can get a bit more focused here, but when you're outlining things, I like to put in a few bullet points just to make sure I'm really focusing in on the goal of this email. So let's pull in UGC from our customer base that fit this focus, yada, yada, yada. But you can kind of start listing things out too. So that way when you come back and start to brief out the full calendar and like say, hey, designers, if you're working with designers, like with my agency, we'll build out full briefs that say, okay, here, header section here has this and this. That can all kind of live in here. Okay, I think we definitely want to get out a subscription education email. So I'm going to pull that in here, subscription education, and I'm just going to kind of pull out some targeting as well. I think targeting are lapsed customers, not on a sub. It's a bit of a long title here, but I think that that's going to be one of our juiciest groups. So in this particular case, we're still focusing in on this dog brand, but this could be, if you don't have a subscription, instead it could be bundles, or a lot of brands might have kind of like buying in bulk too. Like, I guess it is kind of a bundle, but like some of them have where you can buy like multiple quantities and save more. Could call that out here too. So for tags, I'm going to come in and say for our lapsed customers, we're going to get in front of them a promotion. So it's going to be a promotion on coming back, and we're going to be targeting our lapsed customers here. Perfect. And then as we're going into March, it's very poignant that we're going into spring. So I know we talked about those pillars of like us versus them, ingredient benefits. I think it would be super fun with a dog food brand is do something that's spring focused, but talking about getting out and getting active. So instead, let's just call this like pure content. Like this is not necessarily pushing our product. In a way, it kind of is what I'm imagining. Where we're basically saying, hey, spring is here, time to go on those adventures. You know what could be fun, going back to just pure like content, actually no selling. Let's say that we're pulling in the most dog-friendly national parks or something like that, or parks. I know national parks might be a bit kind of weird to kind of pull in, but I'm thinking like, okay, across the entire US, if that's our targeting, what can we do here? So for this helpful content, I'm just going to target our customers. The reason I'm doing that is because we are kind of this trusted brand with them. They've already bought from us or they're on a subscription. I'll call that out too. Our current subs. And this is just like fun, helpful content to still be top of mind with them, but also helps create that like long-term customer value together, if that makes sense. Okay, and this is going to be pure nurture content. So we'll pull that in. Just to speed things up, I'm going to pull in some high-level call-outs from the initial slides that I had. So I definitely want to fit in an us versus them. Let's also get in an ingredient feature. Let's pull in a customer story. And these are just the pillars, right? So we're just going at a high level. Let's just throw in some pillars here. Let's also pull in more of just like a product feature. So not necessarily ingredient feature, but product feature. Let's also get in another subscription education. Maybe this time we could try and target our non-customers with a very nurture-based type email on why getting on a subscription is so great. All right, subscription education. I also feel like with our lapsed customers, what could be nice is kind of doing like a what's new type of win back. So if we've released new products, it's been a while since you've been with us, here's what we've been up to. It's a bit of a behind the scenes email as well. Okay, also going into spring, I feel like we could do another ingredient feature. Actually, let's talk about benefits, right? So with our product, we have certain outcomes. So those initial slides I was talking about, like what is an outcome we could focus on for our email feature? So let's say outcome number 1, and this will be a product email. Let's do another one that's like outcome 2 product. And then if we drill into this, I think for the outcome, what I mean by that is saying joint health, and that this could be going out to our non-customers, active shoppers, and is a nurture. And the idea I'm thinking here is this could even be a customer story, but let's break down why our products are perfect for elderly pups. And then here we have another outcome number 2. This could just be maybe like coat or maybe like digestive health. I'm like over analyzing this because I recently just bought more dog food on a subscription. So it's like so top of mind for me because my pug has like digestive issues all the time. So picking a food brand is so hard, but that's where this could come in too. So maybe I think this is more of a non-customer, and we could maybe test some segments here, but I'll keep it in active shoppers. Okay, so we have a few emails here. What we need to do with some of our tags here, I just want to see it super cleanly on our calendar. So going back to Canine Veterans Day, customer education, let's go ahead and say we're going to start the month like, hey, bring in spring, baby, with getting back on your subscription. And us versus them. So with this one, I think this is, again, really important for non-customers, but we'll keep this a bit open. And this is also a great way, like you could do this send, clone it, also send it to customers with different copy, right? Just like, hey, like you already know how great we are, but we just want to let you know again, like, here's why we're awesome. So let's throw this one in again, more of a nurture email. ingredient feature. So I'm going to throw the dates in here real quick, and then we'll go into the calendar view and organize this a bit more. And then we could figure out where we can kind of fill in the gaps too. So I just want to make sure it really flows well, because you got to, think too. I always love to go back in and re-audit my segments, like literally going through their Klaviyo profile and digging into, in the last 30 days, what emails were they getting, and like how did that flow for them? Did it make sense? Was it like totally out of left field? Just auditing their experience is super important. Okay, throw that in at the end of the month. So over here, you can come over into a calendar view. So let's take a look at our outline so far. So I think what's interesting, we have our subscription education. It's just going to our lapsed customers. But what we could do is make sure that we have an email going out to our non-customers. I mean, they're going to be one of our bigger populations for most brands. It is. I mean, you have a lot of customers, but it might be a lot of non-customers here. And we could lead with, instead, a product review feature, customer story. And instead of promotion, we can go with nurture. And let's say we're not planning to do a sale, but we could, right? I mean, that could be a promotion that you want to tack onto that one. Okay, so going into the first week, we have a send here. And then this is where you can analyze your send volume. If you're comfortable with 2 a week, 3 a week, I have some brands where we're sending at least 5 a week. But I put that in with like a little asterisk because it's being segmented. So we're doing 5 emails in a week, but technically one person's maybe going to get 2 in that week. We're just segmenting out and targeting really specific groups with very specific messages. All right, so with our us versus them here, with our non-customers, this is coming in what's new. So we're going to do our lapsed customer group, and we'll throw them in with a promotion nurture. Ingredient feature. Now here's a group we haven't talked to, which is people actively on a subscription right now. So I'm thinking if we want to kind of fill this out a bit, let's come over to our current subs. And this is where we could tie in loyalty, because our subscriber group is going to be the ones with a lot of loyalty points potentially. This might be the similar with your brand, might not. But let's do a reminder of points. And we'll pull in our current subscribers, and we're just going to call this one loyalty. Perfect. So we have a send going out to that group as well. I mean, they're like our best ones, right? And we don't want to over email them because we don't want we just don't want to tick them off, okay? We want to keep them happy. So just a reminder of like all the goodies they get by being subscribed to us. There you are. All right, we have our Canine Veterans Day here on the weekend. Us versus them, I'm just going to throw this in a bit earlier. We're going to our non-customers. And then I think we had an ingredient feature here. I'm going to throw this one up here, and we're just going to do our core engaged. So just good, helpful information featuring a specific ingredient. If we have something in our product that is giving your pet the most amazing coat and skin and nails, this is where we could pull that in. But we're kind of hitting everybody. All right, going in, I think we're going to test it. I like to kind of stagger out our sending here. So we have like a weekend or Saturday send here, a Sunday send here. I personally don't like emails to fall into too much of a routine. When you look at your stats, it's going to tell you that those are the best days because those are the days you're emailing, right? So mixing it up, I personally like to do that. You can do some smart send testing too to confirm like best send times. But I like to mix it up personally. So for this calendar, hey Elizabeth, this is Notion, which if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you one just like this. So spoiler alert, I'm going to send you this exact, or not this exact one, but it is a sample one that's like ready for you to use. So stick around. We're going to be actually wrapping up here soon. So I told you we would design this, get this ready in like 45 minutes flat. I swear like the first 20 minutes was really just the education piece. So, okay, ingredient feature. Let's actually throw this one in Thursday. It's going to our core engaged group. Our win back is lapsed customers, us versus them, non-customers. Okay, so we're hitting our 3 pillars pretty well there. Sorry if you can hear my ice machine going off in the background. Subscription education. So again, this is our non-customers, very specific group here. And customer story here. Let's move this one in. So this is going to non-customers. Our customer story here, I really want this to go to core engaged. So I might mix up our calendar a bit. So this is where looking at our targeting, moving things around can be super helpful. So I'm going to come in, we're going to do this one for nurture, core engaged. For this subscription education, we're going to toss this one in on Saturday, move this one to mid-month or midweek, and this will kind of go to our fuller list. So our lapsed customers, customer story, subscription education, product feature here. So with our product feature, I think this one was just kind of a placeholder to kind of get in. I personally like looking into, again, March is like a good time for spring, but we could throw in a promo here. We haven't talked promos. I've kept it like very promo light, but this could be a good opportunity to throw in a promo for our non-customers. So we'll throw it into our non-customers. Honestly, I feel like a lot of my sending that I plan around is a lot of non-customer targeting because the hurdle to get someone on that first purchase is so long. It's like it takes a while. So they kind of need multiple pushes. So we'll call it our spring sale here. So if we want to get in a spring sale, maybe let's do a little bit of reorganizing. I know the first day of spring is the 20th. So we'll pull in our customer story here. I'm imagining this person gets a little bit of a customer story. It's a bit of a warm up. Then we get into a spring sale here. I am going to duplicate this. Let's target this to our non-customers, but our active shoppers. So our last one kind of went to a wider group. Our reminder is now going out to a bit more of a curated group. And then let's say that this ends on Sunday. We could get one out Saturday too if you want to go crazy, but we're going to do our last chance here. Perfect. So a little bit of a spring sale here. We haven't even talked SMS, but SMS can tie in perfectly. You can even fill in this Saturday spot here. Okay, so our little spring sale is sprinkled in. So then we're going into, with our non-customer targeting here, I kind of want to give them a break, right? So let's pull this joint health one up here, our subscription education. Let's make this a bit of a change. Instead, let's go with our lapsed customers again. Or another audience too for your subscription targeting are just like ideal for subscription groups. People who aren't even lapsed, but they have placed multiple orders with you and are not on a subscription yet. So ideal for subscription, we'll call it that group. So this will be a fun one to test, right? And then we're going into joint health for our non-customers, active shoppers. And then let's say we'll pull in another, we got a customer story here, us versus them. I'm trying to figure out how we can really kind of round this out. You know what we haven't done is a bit more of a behind the scenes, right? So let's pull this in. Do a behind the scenes. Let's say that the founders were at Expo West or something here recently, and we want to talk about like all the amazing people we met, and it was so great. Maybe that's more for our corporate list. So if you have that in here, I mean, there could be a wholesale group you want to talk to. Or maybe we can just show, you know, the team with how they are enjoying spring with their pups. Just something kind of cutesy like that, right? And we'll do core engaged. Just a good, heartfelt kind of email to get out there, round out March. We're going into spring, and then that will be kind of a little tie-in here. I am seeing us hit Tuesday quite a few times, so what I'm going to do is do a little bit of rearranging here. So we have our spring sale. I don't want to adjust that too much, so I'm going to pull this in, hit this Wednesday, just to kind of mix it up a tad. Okay, so overall, I mean, this is a real quick calendar, real quick view, but it did hit on a lot of those things I talked about in the beginning of this, which was, here's some of our content pillars. How can we fit that in? Who can we target smartly to then fill out this calendar in a really strategic way? We're not over emailing. We're being thoughtful about who gets what in a certain time frame here. Okay, and I'll open it up to questions. If you guys have any questions, if you're in the chat, I see there's quite a few of you here joining me live for my first LinkedIn. So thank you so much for that. I don't know if you can hear my pug, speaking of dogs over there, looking for some food, very on topic right now with her. Perfect. Well, I think overall, if you want to fill any gaps here, I think one thing that you can take a look at again is what worked well last year. So we could say that this promo here, maybe in a hypothetical sense, we ran it last year and it did really well. Well, maybe there is some A/B testing that we want to mark in here too. So for this ingredient feature, we could come in and just say like, let's make sure to A/B test, lifestyle imagery versus product. So, you know, when you open that email and we have a dog there jumping, so excited, and then we get into the product? Or should we just lead right away with, you know, a big product shot right there in the front? So start marking in here some A/B testing that you want to run as well. Okay, guys. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me for my first LinkedIn Live. As a little treat for joining me, just to call out, let me head over to my next slide here. I put together a Notion calendar for you. So if you go to emailmarketingbff.com/calendar, I have a Notion calendar that is published that you can open. When you open it, it'll have a live link. Actually, when you submit, it'll open it. And then you are able to go ahead and say, hey, apply that to my Notion. I think you can use it. You can definitely use it on a free account. I know that for sure. So you don't even need a paid account. You can use that as a jumping off point if you're super stuck in some of your planning. This is a good first step to go about it. All right, awesome. Elizabeth, thank you so much for dropping in a question, and thanks for saying great info. Awesome. So if there is another training that you guys want to see in the future, let me know. Caroline, thank you so much. Thanks for joining as well. And make sure you guys grab that calendar. Happy March planning. I know March is literally tomorrow, but hopefully this is helpful to help you maybe fill in some of the gaps for your campaign scheduling. Okay, guys, just want to say thanks so much again. I know I just said that, but thanks so much for joining me. And I will see y'all in a future LinkedIn Live. Super appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.